Wonderful time of the year. Hey guys, it's Aaron back with another review for you. Today is day 9 of my Halloween month, and in honor of that, I am going to be talking about the film The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Gabadotes, let's dive right in. First, real quick, you guys might be thinking to yourselves, wait a second, Aaron. What are you doing? You're in a freaking Winnie the Pooh shirt. Well, guess what, my friends? If you are not aware, there is a Winnie the Pooh film coming out, and it is a horror film called Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey, I believe. Don't quote me, but definitely look it up. Look up Winnie the Pooh horror film. So, guess what? It's horror now. Anyway, so Attack of the Killer Tomatoes released on October, got one in October, awesome, 20th, 1978. Directed by John DeBello, starring David Miller, George Wilson, Sharon Taylor, Stephen Pierce, Ernie Myers, Eric Christmas, and Jack Riley. So, before I actually explain the plot, I want to throw something in real quick because for me, 90s kid, all my other ones out there, Jack Riley is none other than the voice of Stu freaking Pickles on Rugrats. So that's awesome. Yeah, I have to admit, I kind of recognize the voice a little. And then when I was doing my research, I like to kind of just click and see if actors are from anything else. But so I found that I just wanted to throw that out there as a fun little whatever. And also another little fun fact before I keep going. To any of my Soundgarden fans out there, the song Puberty Love that is in the film was sung by Soundgarden's Matt Cameron, who would eventually become their drummer. Another little fun fact. So, anyway, without further ado, let's actually go into the film and why we're here. So, the plot is that tomatoes become sentient by unknown means and revolt against humanity. That's the best way I can explain it. Don't need much more for a film called The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. So the movie, it opens up, and like how I said about that song a second ago by Matt Cameron, so that's being sung in the opening credits. And as this is happening, there's just tomatoes being splattered everywhere. They're just getting thrown into the wall. I mean, it's literally it's a very kind of off-putting, like, well, what? Okay, but it's just it's interesting to see nonetheless. It's like it's trying to be some kind of art thing, It's like an avant-garde piece or something. But that's so that just I thought that was something to note because it pops out right in the beginning. So so then we start the film, and pretty much right away there are some racist and homophobic jokes that wouldn't work today. Not that they ever should, but I'm saying, like, I don't even think you could put them in a movie proving that they're bad. So obviously I'm not going to repeat them, but yeah, I just remember saying that. I'm like, oh, that wouldn't happen. Okay, so then we see the president. I presume he's the president. It never really explains that he's just he's just signing papers and just doing this thing, but then he keeps throwing away the paper and the pen. What? He gets a new one. So then it's like, okay, so what's the all right, and then it never talks about it. And so that's just something that's going on. And so of course they come in and they're telling him, like, oh my gosh, there's these reports of these killer vegetables just running havoc on the world. So here we go. And he's, like I said, he just keeps signing away at this. That's what he does. It's all we see him ever do. But the movie goes on, and out of nowhere, and I marked this at 29 minutes exactly in the film, it just becomes a musical all of a sudden for no rhyme or reason. It's just there. And so, like, don't get me wrong, I don't expect much with a film called The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, but at this point, I really was like, okay, this is just not going to care. I mean, this is just going to be throwing stuff at us for no rhyme or reason, and we're just going to have to accept it. And I'm like, all right, fine. And in the next scene, there is a PSA about how there is an issue of blind crossing guards. So it shows this still, or this video of these crossing guards just like waving people along and they're just crashing and stuff. Um, but I just, you know, it definitely was kind of, I think, kind of cashing in on the Mel Brooks types of films at the time, but not in a specific way, because I mean, it's the Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. Obviously, it's spoofing on um, uh, crazy, movies like that. Like, oh well, it's the Killer Martians from the ground up, and you know what I'm talking about, the weird kind of films like that. And but it's hard to explain. It's really a movie you just really have to watch. I can't. I'm explaining it to you, of course, but I mean, these are just my opinions on it. It really needs to be seen to be believed and understood. Um, the so then after that, he is showing, that's the boss that showed that thing, and he decides that he's going to have a new campaign, and it says uh, their company's called Technicon, and I don't know what they do, but who cares? And so it goes on. He shows this picture, and it reminds me so much of what we see specifically. I mean, campaign ads, but specifically in Republican or right leaning campaign ads, where it's always things about, God being on your side, and like, well, Jesus was in America, things like that. And it says, I, Jesus Christ, for Technotron. Like, he's supporting. I think it has a picture of Jesus like giving the thumbs up or something. And it, like I said, that's the first thing it reminded me of, are these political ads, to where the whichever campaign it is doing a trying to make their company or campaign person that's campaigning the politician like the best thing in the world. And it's like, well, Jesus is on his side, so this is funny. um and so uh anyway, so like I said, it just kind of reminded me of that. And so the film's going on, and of course it's not really, it's almost like it's two separate movies, because the parts where they're like that, the scene I was just talking about, is kind of like its own spoof film in a B horror film, because like as the inside events are going on outside, these tomatoes are just killing things, and they have this kind of like, that's kind of what they sound like, and they're doing that. But then on the inside, it seems people are almost oblivious to it. They know what's going on, but it's like they have to keep reminded of it, because it's not a typical. It shows the tomatoes killing things and eating certain things, but it's not like in the same sense of like a Godzilla film, another a monster film of that style, to where it's actually showing that whatever monster it is really interrupting and interfering and even interacting with the world that it's within. So it's very much like that. I mean, they're definitely they exist in the world. Obviously, it's about the killer tomatoes, but it's almost as if they're just like a side thing in their own film. I really, it's almost like, to me, it seemed like the director and the writer of this made a spoof film, and then it was like, I don't know if it was a last minute thing, or they were. Wouldn't it be funny if it was a horror film and there was something crazy going, And that's what it seems like to me. I might be wrong. I didn't read much into the production on it, but that's just my own personal opinion. And mind you, I do enjoy it. It's fine. It's just, that's what it seems like. It's like I'm watching two films going on at once. Um, so that was another, thing that I really thought about when I was watching it, because it really just comes across that way. But there was this moment where a guy they think that this guy named Mr. Dixon is responsible somehow for maybe helping with the tomatoes and something like that. So, but the way that the police officer kept interrogating him, it reminded me of, hey Brian, this is for you, buddy. If any of you guys have seen Super Troopers, it's like the way that the captain on the other squad says jurisdiction. He's very much like, it's not your jurisdiction, Ramathorn. And the way that they kept saying it, it's this guy's Mr. Dixon, but they were very like, Mr. Dixon, and it just kept reminding me of Super Troopers in that. So I don't know, I don't know if that was the actor's choice in Super Troopers to just, maybe he got that from this, or maybe that's just how he speaks. I don't know, but it was just something that was going through my mind because it just was. But like I said, I might be wrong. Brian, I hope you watch this. Maybe let me know what you think. It's just very funny, but it also does its job well, like I said. But spoof movies are hard. Spoof movies, when they're done properly, are hard. I don't really care for the genre as a whole. Even the good ones, like Scary Movie, but there is a right way to do them and a wrong way to do them. And I think as far as the spoof aspect of this, like I said earlier, I think they were really trying to capitalize on the Mel Brooks. And Mel Brooks is kind of the king. I mean, really, even with the newer stuff like Scary Movie and whatnot, if you go back and watch Mel Brooks films, he's still got some great ones, man. Young Frankenstein, Blazing Saddles, just there's all kinds of them. They're just so good and so sometimes even relevant almost with some of the political messages, and they don't beat you over the head. And I think that's what this film was trying to do. Like I said, I'm sure that it was just trying to capitalize on, the what we thought would be, or what they thought would be, this huge booming market, which it never really came to, except for people like Mel Brooks. You gotta, you really have to you really have to know what you're doing in films like that to not only make them stand apart, but to be better than the ones on the bottom. Christopher Guest is another one. He's a very good, that's Spinal Tap, For Your Consideration, A Mighty Wind, those types of films. You haven't seen those, I definitely recommend them. But he's another one. He's really good at the spoof films, and those aren't necessarily spoofs in the sense of like, they're copying a film and making it funny. It's more, observational humor. It's very I know there's a lot of improvisation that goes into them. Anyway, I'm not going to keep talking about Christopher Guest. You should watch his films, but that's a whole other movie. In this, like I said, it didn't. The Attack of the Killer Tomatoes didn't, I don't think, know how to do that. I'm sorry, and I think that it hurt it as far as the overall film experience goes. Don't get me wrong; it's not. It's not necessarily like, it's not terrible or anything like that. There's definitely, like I said, I read off a whole list of things that I did enjoy about it, and it's worth the watch. I definitely give it that, but it's just not. You're not going to get much quality out of it, and so for that, take that how you feel. Take it with a grain of salt. You may have seen this film already and been like, nah, man, it's pretty solid. I just noticed there's a bunch lacking in it, as far as making it to the level of, Christopher Guest, those types of films. But sorry. With that being said, it was definitely entertaining. I'll give it that. It was entertaining. It was, if I can finish a film at the end of the day and get, at least 2 or 3 laughs out of it, it's not a wasted film. And so this wasn't a wasted film. It's not, but, and I want to, got a cool bunch of information. Like I said, stew freaking pickles. But anyway, guys, I would give it a 3 out of 10 overall. It is on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Pluto TV, and YouTube, all for free. So I definitely recommend checking it out. It's like an hour and 20 minutes. It's not long at all. Not a big waste of your time. Even if you don't like it, you don't have to spend that much time with it. But like I said, 3 out of 10. Check it out. Let me know what you guys think. Halloween month is still on the way. And for those of you that have requested certain films, I've heard you. They are coming, I promise. Alrighty, guys. Well, like and subscribe. Tell your friends. I'll be back with another video soon. Alrighty, take it easy.